When revolution erupted across the Russian Empire in 1917, victory wasn't just won with ideology and speeches. It was won with iron and gunpowder. Today, we're counting down the 7 deadly weapons that turned ragtag Bolshevik fighters into the victorious Red Army. 7. Arisaka Type 38 rifle. At number 7, we have an unlikely hero of the Bolshevik cause, the Japanese Arisaka Type 38 rifle. But wait, you might be asking, why would Russian revolutionaries be using Japanese weapons? The answer lies in the massive arms imports during the Russo-Japanese War and World War I. Japan's military had developed this exceptional bolt-action rifle that would soon find itself in the hands of revolutionary fighters thousands of miles from its homeland. The Arisaka Type 38 was chambered for the 6.5 by 50 mm SR cartridge and featured a robust 5-round internal magazine. But what truly set this weapon apart wasn't just its reliability. This rifle was renowned for being tougher than German Mausers or British Enfields. It could withstand stress that would break other rifles, making it perfect for the harsh conditions of the Russian Civil War. The Bolsheviks adopted captured and surplus Arisakas to fill critical gaps in their supply chains and armed their wide-ranging partisan bands when Mosin-Nagant simply weren't available. These rifles became essential for equipping irregulars and auxiliary units that formed the backbone of Red Army operations in remote regions. But here's the brilliant part. The Arisaka's 6.5 by 50 mm SR cartridge created a uniquely flexible supply system. The same ammunition that fed these rifles would later feed the world's first assault rifle, which we'll discover later in our countdown. The presence of Arisaka rifles in both Red and White forces underscored the truly global nature of the Russian Civil War's armaments. Talk about international warfare. And that's just the beginning. We've got 6 more iconic weapons to go, each with its own story of how it shaped the revolution. Which one do you think will take the top spot? Shoot your guesses in the comments below. 6. Lewis machine gun. Coming in at number 6 is the British-designed Lewis gun, a weapon that would revolutionize mobile firepower for the Red Army. The Lewis gun was a marvel of engineering for its time. It featured an air-cooled barrel surrounded by those distinctive radially finned heat sinks that gave it such a recognizable silhouette. The top-mounted pan magazine could hold either 47 or 97 rounds, depending on the variant. But here's what made it revolutionary. At just 28 pounds, it could be operated by a single gunner, compared to the much heavier Maxim machine guns that required entire crews. Now here's where the story gets really interesting. These British weapons reached Bolshevik hands through the most ironic means possible. They came from British interventionist forces, war aid programs, and most importantly, battlefield captures. The very weapons designed and deployed to stop the revolution ended up fueling it. The Lewis gun's relatively high mobility made it absolutely invaluable for mobile Red Army units. They proved their worth in train and convoy protection, where rapid deployment was crucial. Cavalry detachments found them perfect for mounted operations, and irregular guerrilla units loved their portability for hit-and-run tactics. The impact was so significant that surplus Lewis guns continued serving Red Army second-line troops well into World War II. These British-designed weapons had found a permanent home in the Soviet arsenal, a testament to their effectiveness in revolutionary hands. 5. Mauser C96 Broomhandle pistol. At number 5, we have the weapon that became the ultimate status symbol and calling card of the Bolshevik Revolution, the German Mauser C96, affectionately known as the Broomhandle. The C96 was imported in massive quantities before World War I, often in the shortened barrel Bolo model that would become synonymous with revolutionary officers. This semi-automatic pistol was a technological marvel, firing the powerful 7.63 by 25 mm Mauser cartridge from a unique 10-round internal magazine. The external wooden shoulder stock was genius. It could double as a holster, and when attached, transformed the pistol into a carbine for longer range engagements. What made the Broomhandle special was its rapid-fire capability. While others were still fumbling with slow-loading revolvers, Bolshevik officers could deliver fast, accurate follow-up shots that could mean the difference between life and death in close-quarters combat. But the C96's real power lay in its symbolic significance. The distinctive pistol became the preferred sidearm of Bolshevik officers and commissars throughout the revolution. You'd see them in street fighting, during executions, and prominently displayed in command posts. The unique ergonomics and that unmistakable grip made it instantly recognizable. 4. Nagant M1895 Revolver. Number 4 takes us to one of the most historically significant and technically unique sidearms ever created, the Nagant M1895 Revolver. Designed by the brilliant Belgian engineer Leon Nagant, this was a masterpiece of 19th century firearms engineering. This 7-shot double-action revolver possessed a feature that was absolutely revolutionary for its time, a unique gas seal system that made it the only revolver of its era capable of accepting a suppressor. But how did it work? The secret was in the special 7.62 by 38mm R cartridge, where the case extended over the bullet, creating a perfect gas seal when the cylinder rotated forward during firing. The Nagant featured solid frame construction that could withstand incredible punishment, and a loading gate positioned on the right side for efficient reloading. This robust design made it incredibly reliable, even when subjected to the mud, ice, and general chaos of revolutionary warfare. The double-action mechanism allowed for rapid firing when needed, while single action provided precision for aimed shots. But the Nagant M1895 became much more than just a reliable sidearm. It became the official weapon of the Bolshevik authority. From 1895 onward, it served as the standard sidearm of the Russian military, and during the revolution, it found itself in the hands of the most important revolutionary figures. Here's where the story takes a dark and historically significant turn. This was reportedly the very weapon used in the assassination of Tsar Nicholas II and his entire family. So trusted was this revolver that it remained in Soviet service well into World War II, a testament to its enduring reliability and the respect it commanded among revolutionary forces. 3. Fedorov Avtomat. At number 3, we have perhaps the most revolutionary weapon of the revolution, the Fedorov Avtomat, widely believed to be the world's first true assault rifle. This weapon was so far ahead of its time that it predicted the future of infantry combat by decades. Designed by the brilliant Russian engineer Vladimir Fedorov, this select-fire weapon could switch seamlessly between semi-automatic and fully automatic fire. But here's where it gets really interesting. It was chambered for the 6.5 by 50mm SR Arisaka cartridge. Remember those Japanese rounds from our number 7 weapon? This brilliant decision meant that ammunition was widely available in Russian stores, solving a crucial logistical challenge. The Fedorov Avtomat fed from a 25-round detachable magazine. Imagine the firepower advantage this gave to individual soldiers. With a rate of fire between 350 to 400 rounds per minute, a single soldier could lay down the kind of suppressive fire that previously required entire squads. The lightweight construction allowed unprecedented mobility, letting soldiers advance while maintaining devastating rates of fire. Now, here's the thing that makes this weapon so historically significant. Only about 3,200 Fedorov Avtomats were ever built during its production run. This extreme rarity meant that they were reserved for only the most elite units. But those precious few weapons armed Bolshevik shock troops and completely transformed assault tactics. The Fedorov Avtomat's deployment in urban assaults and fortified position attacks symbolized the Red Army's transition to truly modernized mechanized warfare. But here's the incredible part. This weapon was so advanced that its concepts directly influenced later developments, including the legendary AK-47 that would define Soviet small arms for generations. In the hands of elite Red Army assault units, the Fedorov Avtomat represented more than just advanced firepower. It represented the future itself. While the rest of the world was still fighting with 19th century tactics, the Bolsheviks were already embracing the automatic weapons that would dominate 20th century warfare. Number 2. Maxim M1910 machine gun. Number 2 brings us to the weapon that completely redefined battlefield tactics and turned warfare into a deadly chess game of fire, movement, and cover. The absolutely fearsome Maxim M1910 machine gun. Few weapons in military history have had such a dramatic and immediate impact on how wars are fought. The PM M1910 was Russia's version of the famous Maxim gun, produced under license from the original British design. This was a water-cooled, belt-fed heavy machine gun that was typically mounted on wheeled Sokolov carriages, often equipped with protective shields to protect the gun crew. The engineering was remarkable for its time. The water jacket system prevented overheating, enabling sustained fire for extended periods. But here's what made it absolutely devastating. It was chambered for the same 7.62 by 54mm R cartridge as the Mosin-Nagant rifle. This brilliant logistical decision meant streamlined ammunition supply, allowing the same cartridges to feed both individual soldiers and heavy weapons. With a continuous fire rate exceeding 600 rounds per minute, a single Maxim could produce more firepower than an entire company of riflemen. The Maxim M1910 fundamentally changed the nature of combat. Battlefield tactics that had remained relatively unchanged for centuries suddenly became obsolete. Cavalry charges became suicide missions. Infantry assaults required elaborate coordination with artillery and supporting fire. Fortifications and defensive lines became dominated by these deadly weapons in their overlapping fields of fire. But here's where Bolshevik innovation truly shined and gave them a crucial tactical advantage: the legendary Tachanka system. While other armies were thinking of machine guns as purely defensive weapons, the Red Army developed a revolutionary mobile concept. They mounted these deadly Maxims on horse-drawn carts, creating a highly mobile firepower platforms that could race across the open steppes of Russia. This mobile machine gun concept became iconic of the Russian Civil War. Red partisans, regular army units, and specialized train guard detachments all relied on these weapons for both shock and desperate defensive stands. The sight of a Tachanka charging across the battlefield became a symbol of Bolshevik tactical innovation and revolutionary fervor. Both red and white forces possessed Maxim M1910s, but the Bolsheviks' superior tactical innovation and organizational advantages made all the difference. Their creative use of these weapons set tactical templates that influenced Soviet military doctrine through World War II and beyond. We've reached our final weapon, but here's the question that might surprise you. What single rifle armed over 1 million revolutionary fighters, remained in service for over a century, and became the most produced bolt-action rifle in human history? The answer is a weapon so legendary that it's still in use today, over 130 years after its design. This rifle didn't just win the Russian Civil War. It helped win World War II and armed liberation movements across the globe. It's the weapon that truly embodies Russian military engineering at its finest. Number 1. Mosin-Nagant Model 1891 rifle. And at number 1, the absolute backbone and unquestioned foundation of the Bolshevik victory, the legendary Mosin-Nagant Model 1891 rifle. This isn't just the most important weapon of the Russian Civil War. It's one of the most significant military rifles in human history. Officially designated as the three-line rifle M1891, this bolt-action masterpiece was the result of collaboration between Russian engineer Sergei Mosin and Belgian designer Leon Nagant. Mosin provided the basic rifle design, while Nagant contributed crucial magazine innovations that made the weapon truly practical for military use. The international cooperation created a rifle that would serve for over a century. The Mosin-Nagant fired the powerful 7.62 by 54mm R cartridge. And here's a fascinating detail. That R stands for rimmed, referring to the cartridge's distinctive rim design. This round was incredibly effective, capable of penetrating cover and stopping targets at extended ranges. The rifle could be loaded quickly using 5-round stripper clips, allowing trained soldiers to maintain rapid, sustained fire. Now let's talk about the absolutely staggering scale of production. Over 1 million units were produced by American factories like Remington and Westinghouse alone. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. When you include Russian production facilities and other international manufacturers, we're talking about one of the most mass-produced military rifles in history. This massive production ensured widespread availability even during the complete chaos of revolution, civil war, and collapsing supply lines. The engineering brilliance of the Mosin-Nagant lay in its brutal simplicity and robust design tolerances. This rifle was specifically engineered to function reliably in the extreme conditions of Russian winters, where temperatures could drop to levels that would freeze the mechanisms of more delicate weapons. The 5-round non-detachable magazine was built for durability over convenience. The wood and steel construction used materials that were readily available and easy to repair in field conditions. The Mosin-Nagant came in several variants designed for different military roles: the standard infantry model, the shorter dragoon version for mounted troops, the even more compact Cossack variant, and various carbine models for specialized units. There were even rare sniper variants, though these were uncommon during the Civil War period. Each variant was optimized for specific tactical requirements while maintaining the basic reliability that made the rifle legendary. With an effective range extending up to 500 meters for standard infantry combat, the Mosin-Nagant gave revolutionary forces the ability to engage enemies at distances that mattered in the vast expanses of the Russian countryside. But perhaps most importantly, its mechanical simplicity meant that barely trained conscripts and volunteer fighters could maintain and operate these rifles effectively. Now here's the crucial factor that won the war. While both red and white forces fielded Mosin-Nagant rifles in large numbers, the Bolsheviks possessed superior organization and logistics. This organizational advantage meant that they could ensure larger numbers of rifles reached their troops, along with the ammunition and maintenance support needed to keep them operational. In a war where supply lines constantly shifted and traditional military infrastructure collapsed, this logistical superiority was decisive. The Mosin-Nagant saw action in every major engagement of the Russian Civil War, from the brutal urban fighting during the siege of Tsardazin to the controversial suppression of the Kronstadt rebellion, to hundreds of forgotten rural skirmishes across the vast Russian landscape. This rifle held the line for the revolution. Every advance, every defensive stand, every desperate last battle, the Mosin-Nagant was there. But the story doesn't end with the Civil War. This remarkable rifle continued serving the Soviet Union through World War II, where it armed millions of soldiers defending against Nazi invasion. It served in the Korean War, Vietnam, and countless other conflicts around the globe. Even today, over 130 years after its initial design, Mosin-Nagant rifles are still in active service in various parts of the world. But here's the incredible twist that ties this entire story together and reveals the true genius of what happened during the Russian Civil War. These 7 weapons didn't just randomly end up in Bolshevik hands. Together, they accidentally created one of the first truly integrated combined arms weapons systems in military history. Think about this carefully. The Bolsheviks didn't just collect random guns from around the world. Through necessity, opportunity, and brilliant improvisation, they created a weapons ecosystem that was decades ahead of its time. The Mosin-Nagant and Maxim M1910 shared the same 7.62 by 54mm R ammunition, creating seamless logistics between individual weapons and crew-served systems. The Arisaka rifles and Fedorov Avtomats Both used 6.5 by 50 mm SR cartridges, creating another integrated ammunition family. The mobile Tachanka concept with horse-drawn Maxims predicted the mechanized warfare that would dominate the next century. But it goes even deeper. The Nagant revolvers and Mauser pistols provided reliable sidearms for officers and specialists. The Lewis guns offered portable automatic fire for mobile units. Each weapon filled a specific tactical niche while supporting the others. The Bolsheviks weren't just winning a civil war. They were accidentally writing the playbook for modern combined arms doctrine. The integration of bolt-action rifles, machine guns, automatic rifles, and mobile firepower platforms created a tactical system that wouldn't be formally recognized by military theorists until decades later. The Russian Civil War wasn't won through revolutionary ideology alone, inspiring speeches, or even superior numbers. It was won through the intelligent integration of the right tools in the right hands at the right moment in history. So here's my question for you, and I really want to hear your thoughts on this. If you had to choose just one of these 7 revolutionary weapons to represent the spirit of innovation and determine that won the Russian Civil War, which would it be and why? Drop your choice and reasoning in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the firearms that literally changed the course of world history, just make sure to smash that subscribe button. We've got incredible stories about the weapons that shaped civilization coming your way.